Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Undefined. Today, I'm very excited to talk to Drayton Farley. He's a singer-songwriter from Alabama. He released his first album, Heart Up Life, in 2021, and in 2023, I discovered his music from his album 20 on High. I'm really excited to talk to him. He's been very busy. Even though it's been a little bit since you put out 20 on High, you've still been hitting the road pretty heavily. You've had a lot of interesting tour stops and festival dates, and you've opened for a lot of amazing people. You were just playing with Muscadine Bloodline. How do you say it?
Yeah, Muscadine.
Yep, Muscadine
Muscadine
Bloodline. Yeah, which I
bloodline. Yeah.
also love.
hmm
You were just with them in Salt Lake, and you're constantly doing all kinds of fun tours. I had the opportunity to meet Drayton a couple weeks back at a Jason Isbell show, and I'm just excited to talk to him more. How are you doing today?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So I want to talk about first, how did you kind of get started musically? What was your childhood like in terms of music? Was it something that you've always gotten into? Because I know that it was something that started on the side as you were working, and that's where you got a lot of your inspiration from in your early stuff. But I want to go back to kind of as a child, like how old were you when you learned how to play the guitar? What was music like with growing up for you?
Um, I was in I was in fifth grade when I first started playing on a guitar. I never remember how old you are in fifth grade. I can't. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I think you're like 10,
Um,
11. That confuses me
yeah,
too.
yeah. I think you're around 10, 11. So that's when I kind of discovered guitar. Um, so growing up, I grew up. I was born in Bessemer, Alabama. Uh, Born and raised in Woodstock, Alabama,
Mhm.
which is about 25, 30 minutes west of Birmingham and the same east of Tuscaloosa, so right between the two cities.
Wow.
Um, I claim Birmingham because it's easier for everyone usually, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I grew up. It's a small town. I don't know, like 12, 1,300 people. The
hmm
last time I checked, which was a couple years back, but it's a small town life. I'm the youngest of five kids.
Oh, wow.
My dad worked for himself. My mom helped my dad with the business, and she was pretty busy with five kids too. So, yeah, just a tight, grew up with a tight family. We are always around each other, and no one around me though played music, so it's not that story. I
hmm
wish it would have been really cool, but I had to figure a lot of stuff out on my own. So, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Was there
Go
any
ahead.
like particular moment or like album or something that you saw as a kid that made you want to start playing the guitar because you didn't grow up around it? Like, was there kind of a certain point in your life that you felt drawn to it?
There were many points. Like it's kind of like I think when I first picked it up or whatever, there wasn't any real reason. Um, Guitar Hero, the video game, was kind of a big thing back then. So
Yes,
that's
I loved
probably
Guitar Hero too, and
yeah,
Rock Band.
yeah. All the rich kids had Rock Band. I never, I never had that one. I did later, but it was like so outdated by the time I got it.
Mhm.
Guitar Hero was better anyway, but
Oh yeah.
I picked I think that could have had a lot to do with it. But yeah, like you just the guitar kind of came at random. So like the next youngest sibling, which is like the next oldest, from me is my
Mhm.
sister Amber, and she got a guitar for her like 16th birthday, and kind of played around on it a little bit, and just she liked it, she enjoyed it, but she was also like teenager, started to like go on dates and stuff,
Mhm.
and so she was more interested, I think, in just being a teenager than the guitar at that time. So I was a little younger, and I think I just it infatuated me. I was infatuated with it, watching her
Mhm.
like learn little intros and chords and things like that. And so I think eventually I just got curious, and when she wasn't around, I would like sneak it out and I would start messing around with it. And it was a pretty bad guitar. It was like it was honestly, it was a splurge for my parents, back then. It was an Esteban classical guitar.
Mhm.
I think it was like $100 and you get like the guitar with a case. and like all these accessories and like an amp. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know how they even can make stuff like that and sell it for so cheap. But but that was it. It was like the neck on that thing was huge. It was like a 2x4. And it's classical, so it's nylon strings. So it's like real weird first guitar probably. But then she got after that she got an Alvarez steel string acoustic dreadnought. It was an RD10. And that's really like kind of that's probably really the one that I like learned on, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And she ultimately just kind of gave me the guitar and I never put it down. Never took any lessons or anything. I didn't, like I said, I didn't have, family members that played instruments that were around me to like teach me stuff. So I was kind of left to my own devices. And those Walmart chord posters will take you a
Yes,
long way.
the
They'll
chord
really,
charts. Yeah, and that
yeah, they can do a lot.
it's crazy because now you can just go on the internet and you can just print up a
Yeah,
chord sheet. But yeah, things like
yeah,
that are super helpful. And so I want to kind
huge.
of, oh yes, I want to kind of follow up from that. So you played the guitar a lot, and then you were working normal jobs throughout your adulthood. Did you work at a railroad? Is that correct? You had a lot of like
Yeah,
hard labor jobs. Um,
yeah, it was all hard labor, really, looking back.
and that plays into a lot of your music. And I wanted to know, kind of as an adult, when you're working on those jobs, would you get home and like write those songs? Would those ideas kind of happen while you were on the job? And when did you have the idea to go up and record A Heart of Life? And what was that process like, making the transition?
I was all right. So, I mean, I was really still kind of a kid when I got, like the railroad job. So I graduated high school in 2014,
Uh-huh.
and it was like maybe a year out of graduating. My brother-in-law, he worked for this like he was a crane operator for this contracting company, and that company was like dissolving, and um there was this other contractor that just they exclusively worked for like Norfolk Southern Railroad.
Mm-hmm.
They were basically hiring all of these operators that they used to work for this old company that was kind of just crumbling. And so at this point, I'd taken a job in a factory where I was just sorting car parts. It was like a supplier for Mercedes-Benz. They made like doors for like Ford, maybe. Yeah, Ford, Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen. And so it was just like all they did in this factory was like assemble seats and
Mm-hmm.
doors to like send to these car companies. And so I didn't do any assembly stuff at that job, but I was just like sorting the parts. And so that was like a year out of high school. And then my
Mm-hmm.
brother-in-law got this job for this railroad contractor, and he helped me get on with them. At this point, I'm like 18 years old, and I'd had like a band in high school, a
Mm-hmm.
metal band, like a hardcore band. Um, and I wasn't really playing gigs at all. I wasn't really even writing anything like serious. I was definitely writing, but I wasn't, it hadn't crossed my mind yet that like that's what I really wanted to do. Maybe it had crossed my mind that's what I wanted to do, but it was
Mm-hmm.
just so out of the books that I never considered it could be a thing that I might actually be able to do one day as a living. So I wasn't really pursuing it. And I worked on the railroad for this contracting company for like the next 3.5, 4 years. During that time is when I really started to write, and it was really like I finally felt like I kind of had something I could write about, or that I
Mm-hmm.
found was easy to write about. And so I would write all the time, like in my hotel rooms, because we traveled, and we were all in the Southeast, anywhere from like New Orleans to North Carolina and everything
Wow.
between right there. So spent a lot of time traveling and just like sitting in hotel rooms after work. And there was nothing else to really do. And for the most part of that job, I was too young to drink.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I couldn't really go out when all the other guys went out. So
Mm-hmm.
I found myself in a room with my guitar and nothing to do. So I started writing and um, I wrote some songs and would share them with my coworkers, and they were all like, "Man, this is great. Like, you should do this. Why are you
Mhm.
here?" And I was like, "Well, find me a way to like, make money, and I won't be here." So uh, I would take my guitar with me, and I would stop at open mics, and like I usually knew what city I would be working in the next week, like like ahead of time. So I would get on
Mhm.
like Craigslist and Facebook, and I would like find whatever places might have an open mic, and I would go set in and like do a song or two wherever I could. Um, and then that just kind of got very daunting. Like I got married to my wife M during that
Mhm.
time. We got married very young, 20, I believe.
Wow.
I was 20 we got married. So uh, that kind of sucked, like traveling and never seeing her, and so
Mhm.
I quit, and when I quit, I took a job working for Mercedes-Benz, which was like closer to home.
Mhm.
It was like same pay. I didn't have to leave, so
Mhm.
um, I started doing that, and I worked there for the next, 3 or 4 years, and that is that's kind of the job that like really where I realized like, what are you gonna do? Because I know you're good at this, but like you're about to like you're mid 20s now, and like you kind of been playing around. You haven't taken this serious. And do you want to work in this factory for the rest of your life? Because you tried to work on the railroad and knew that you couldn't do that, and now
Mhm.
here you are 4 years into an assembly line, and then it kind of just it just brought me down really. I mean,
Mhm.
I developed like really bad depression and anxiety and
Mhm.
just constantly stressed and like pretty much hated it all, so
Mhm.
I knew it wasn't sustainable for myself. I couldn't be the guy that was okay with just living that way and working that job. And I just knew I couldn't be that guy and I had to do something else. And that is what led me to just recording those songs and releasing them. And I had no idea what I was doing at all. Um, I recorded that whole album in like one morning before work. I worked,
Wow, that's really cool. Did you just record
yeah,
it at home?
yeah. It was just like Mercedes was swing shift, so you'd work like 2 weeks days, 2 weeks nights. And so I was going on to or evenings, not night shift, but I was going on to the evening shift. So I had, like, didn't have to be at work until like 3
Mhm.
that evening. So I woke up, around like 9, and I got my laptop and had like the little, I can't remember if it was the Focusrite or I can't remember which interface, but it's the super cheap interface, and then like the $60 MXL condenser mic, and I just set it up at the foot of the bed in our room in our old apartment, and I had all the songs like kind of I had all these songs I'd written over that, they're some were recent and some were, a few years old, and um I started recording them. I'm skipping ahead a little bit actually.
Uh-huh.
So this was in December of 2020 when I recorded the album. The November though of 2020, I released a song called American Dream.
Yes.
And that is when my wife convinced me to like upload it to social media. She had just gotten like a TikTok. I knew nothing about it. I had like Instagram, Facebook and stuff,
Mhm.
but TikTok was kind of like it was like the new Vine thing. So it was like
Yeah,
very
it
basic.
was kind of up and coming, especially because like a lot of us were at
Yeah.
home and TikTok, I feel like really grew at
hmm
that time too.
It's weird too because like everyone else was at home, with
And
the
we're
pandemic, and I was at work, like because in Alabama, like Mercedes is a huge part of the
Mhm.
economy, so especially in central Alabama. So like we were essential workers, so
Yeah.
I was still building cars while everyone else was shut down. And I had not been a part of like the music industry yet,
Mhm.
so I was kind of not even really aware. I knew bands were canceling tours and stuff, but the reality of just how big of a deal it wasn't so evident to me because it wasn't, my life didn't like halt like everyone else's. I was still waking
Mhm.
up and going to work every day.
Wow.
Um, so so yeah, I released American Dream, which is a song. It had been written for about a year before I ever put it out, and I wrote it like, inspired by everything around me that was
Mhm.
bringing me down, and so um, wrote that song and I put it out, and it wasn't like no any time at all had passed, and people started finding it, and all of a sudden, like I think it got like 1 million streams,
Wow.
and I don't even know what that means because I've never, I've had music out, but I've never um, I've never made any money on it. There was only I had a couple EPs out and some singles that I'd put out in the years leading up to this, but none of them had ever been streamed by anyone other than family members, or friends. So I mean, I had like less than 100 listeners before American Dream, and then that comes out, like a video on TikTok where it's not even me playing the song. It wasn't an acoustic video. It wasn't. It was the dumbest video possible. And it was just me like this like selfie mode, and I'm just
Uh-huh.
like staring at the screen, and I'll just put words over it basically about the song, and it just got traction, and so I'm watching all these numbers go up. The video itself is getting like millions of views. The song on Spotify has like, 1 million streams, and but I don't know what that means for money,
Yeah.
I've never made a paycheck from Spotify before,
Yeah.
So I think I'd made like 25 cents one time, so
It's so frustrating. That's a whole other tangent. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's a thing. It's a good one and a bad one. It sucks. It's like but so that is really like what when American Dream happened, I felt like for the very first time in my life, I might have a way out of living and dying, in some hard
Hmm.
labor job. And so I jumped on the opportunity to see if it was an opportunity. And I recorded that album, like a couple weeks later. I woke up, I was going on evening shift, like I said, and I just had these 14 songs and I set it up. I'd laid everything out the night before. And as soon as I woke up, I like got everything plugged in and had my notebook with all the songs, and I just hit record and I just went down, and I didn't have much time, so like there were mistakes all over it, but um everything was just one take, and I would record the song and save it and record the next one, save it, and then I went to work, and then the next day I got, I could pull those songs back up and like do a little bit of editing, and I don't know what I'm doing. I just like adjusted some settings and like added little bits of reverb here and there and just try to make it sound like I didn't do this in my bedroom, And it does sound like that, now that I know a lot more than I knew then. It's
Hmm.
not the greatest sounding record, but it was the songs, that I think people found. And that whole thing, like Pitch and Fits, ultimately became
Hmm.
like what's now like my big song. And that song was on A Heart of Life, and it wasn't even anything. I thought American Dream might be the hill I'd have to die on,
Yeah.
and then Pitch and Fits came in and like outperformed that song, and I was like, well, damn, like this is probably what I'm supposed to do, and so I made the same style video, as I did with American Dream for that one, and that
Hmm.
video like did circles around the original American Dream thing, and before I knew it, like those two songs had like a streaming war, like.
With each
They would
other.
like American Dream would get more than Pitch and Fits, and then but I still haven't seen a paycheck yet, so I don't know what any of this means. I just know that I have songs out now that have like a lot of streams, and then I got the first check like 3 months later, and it was like the same amount of money that I made working at Mercedes all month, and so I was like, oh, okay, well, does it last? Will this
Hmm.
happen next month, or will this go away? And so I waited another month, and it was a little bit more the next month. I was like, well,
Wow.
that's cool, but I mean, surely this will fall apart, So I waited it out again. And I got, I think I stayed at the job for like another 6 months just to see, what was what. And we just had you know, our first daughter, Haven. And so uh, M used to she worked for attorneys, like doing like paralegal work,
Oh, wow.
and so she had quit the job to be with be at home with Haven, and so right before all this happened, like it was just down to my income, and now just not long after she quits, I'm within the next year or so, I'm like, hey babe, I'm gonna quit my job too. Now that we have a kid to take care of, and all these
Hmm.
bills, and there's a pandemic and the world's shut down, I should quit my job and be a musician, which is like under the best circumstance, that's not a good idea, you know? And so
Uh-huh.
we basically have everything against us,
Uh-huh.
you know, and and I did it anyway. I just told her to give me a year and let me see what I can do. And so I kind of, I did it, and I'm very glad I did. It was certainly at the time I wasn't sure if that's what I should do. Now I know, like, it's exactly what I should have done. So
Wow, that is just so inspiring. It's a lot to take in. And the timing of it was crazy too. I mean, just around the time you could stay home and be a dad.
it was it was the strangest time of our lives.
Wow,
Like
that's so.
there were I don't know, like money, like the government were sending, like the checks out to people, which helped us like a whole lot. And that allowed me to like a cushion, a little bit
Hmm.
because I was still working,
Hmm.
but now I'm getting, there's like the COVID checks. Like
Hmm.
she gets one, I get one. I think I can't remember. They did it like twice, three times maybe.
Yeah.
But also like the streaming money from my royalties had started coming in. So I found myself not like super wealthy or anything, but all of a sudden we're not behind.
Hmm.
All of a sudden, like that credit card's been paid off, and I paid off our car, and now we're not drowning in bills. And that had a lot to do with it too. It was like me having the confidence to be like, hey, we're not in the red. The
Hmm.
car is paid for now. Like the credit card's gone. Like there's a couple $1,000s in the bank, and I'm gonna quit. So which is insane, but that is exactly how that went. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you really just need to make the jump. And another part of your story that you just told that I think is so interesting is with that railroad job. It's almost like you had kind of a like a little uh preparation for how it was like going to be on tour because you've already were
Oh yeah.
adjusted to staying at hotels, being away
Yeah.
from the family and writing and even just going up and booking those open mic nights. That's just so
Hmm.
awesome and so inspiring. So I want to jump further.
Yeah.
Before I do that, I wanted to talk about we mentioned the videos for American Dream and Pitching Fits. What strikes to me about your music and about that album and all your work and those videos in particular is that when you watch the videos on YouTube, it's just you out in the woods with an acoustic guitar. And
Yeah.
it has a million views, it has so many positive comments. It's made the rounds online, and I think people really resonate with that in this day and age too, especially like
Hmm.
after post-COVID. I really see less and less of the flashy music videos or people putting effort into that, and more of just a song by itself with the guitar, exactly what you did. And, like you said, your songs at that time, it really struck a chord with a lot of people, and I think it still does. What's your opinions on that, and how important is to you for that authenticity, whether it is in your writing, which you do a great job of, and even just the videos and how you come across with your music online as well?
I think like accidentally that I did all of that, the way I did it just because I had no other way to do it.
Hmm.
Like I couldn't hire, people to do anything. I didn't have the
Hmm.
money for that. And so I just used the tools you have, and that's just kind of the motto, if you have a smartphone, you can do everything. And I do have
Yes.
a smartphone, so like
Hmm.
I should. So
Hmm.
now though I realize like I think people are leaning that in, and I mean like fans, like myself included. I'm a fan too. It's like
Hmm.
people are leaning towards those kinds of things because we've never been where we are today as, as just people in the world.
Hmm.
And everything's fake. Uh, everything is AI. Everything is a commercial. Everything's an advertisement.
Yes.
And it's like, don't you get so tired of being sold things,
Yes. And it's
And
every other thing too.
yeah, it's all an advertisement. And how can we manipulate, steal, lie, and fake something into existence to make us some more money? So I think that's why people are, and I don't think it's a conscious thought, like all of that. I just think that
Hmm.
somewhere in the back of our heads, we are looking at the guy or the girl with the guitar in the field that messed up and didn't play the same chord progression in the second verse that they
Hmm.
were supposed to, and that like forgot that lyric and kind of choked a little on that one part.
Hmm.
Like I want to see that. I don't want to see the other thing anymore.
Yeah.
Like I want to know what I'm looking at is real, and so
Exactly. I think you described that perfectly. We crave authenticity now because it's almost
that's
like
it.
it's fading away.
We always have done it, but now we're doing it like almost in an effort to like not lose our minds and go insane.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. Especially and AI is moving very fast.
And it's scary.
Like it's very scary, I think Zach, I don't want to say this wrong because I don't really, I think it was Zach Brown band maybe.
Hmm.
I think it was Zach Brown just is about to release a song with like Snoop Dogg.
Hmm.
And this is like yesterday. And I'm at the beach too, so like don't hold me accountable for what I'm about to say because I,
I'm
I
gonna
was
go
just
fact check this afterwards. Yeah.
yeah, do it. Um, I was like just had like a second to like look at my phone and scrolled through and saw something on Instagram yesterday where they announced the cover art for the new single they're about to drop, and it's AI, and it's bad AI, and it's
Yeah.
like bad because he has like 7 or 8 fingers on one hand, and they're
Oh
riding
my
horses,
gosh.
and it's like that's the problem,
Yeah. And
especially from two well-known established artists who
yeah,
we all know has money. It's
have
like,
the
come on, man.
resources, have hired artists to do
Yeah.
their promotional stuff. And I saw there was a
Wow.
band that had used AI for their show posters and people were really mad about that. And I see it everywhere. Like I don't know if you saw there was a big article about this band that charted on Spotify that was completely fake. It was all
I saw it.
AI
Yeah.
and it's just
They have like
scary.
millions of streams.
Yeah, and I think another thing
The
about like how much like as a society it's important to have like artists like yourself just like real because even when you're on things like TikTok, it's like either you say see AI or you're forced the same overproduced pop song or whatever's
hmm
trending over and over
Yeah.
and over again. It's the same
And
30 seconds, you're
that's it.
tapped out. And
Yeah.
it's almost like it feels so refreshing when you come up with the video like
hmm
yourself. And I think other like mainstream artists too. Like I think Tyler Childers is another great example of a mainstream artist. He's
Huge.
selling out
Yeah. He's the whole reason.
stadiums and
It's guys like Tyler is why they ever had the notion that I might be able to do an acoustic solo,
yeah.
Um, uh, the AI band you mentioned is like this whole industry is already it's not very regulated at
No.
all. There's really no, there's not a whole lot of of any of it that's cut and clear. So like when AI acts are, in the top 1% of the streaming artists on a
Uh-huh.
platform, it's like we're talking about an industry that's already very underregulated. It's like how do we know that those things aren't by design by the streaming service,
Mm-hmm.
to, you know,
Drive up play
yeah,
streams. Yeah.
it's keeping the money in their own pocket and so I don't know. I don't know because I can't know because there's not enough regulation to
Yeah.
it's tough, but it's about to get tougher.
Yeah. And I think what's so interesting about that in particular, like the AI a ban of it all, is that to me, and I don't know if you could probably relate to this too, when I think about music, I feel like it's more so than just streaming a song for me. I like buying the physical albums of it as well, but I think as big as the songs is the live performances. Like I am very grateful that I can, I am able to go out and see a lot of my favorite artists and make that. I feel like the live music connection is almost as strong as that streaming or the listening. And so to have that kind of omitted and you're just
Hmm.
listening to things passively and you're not really connecting on that emotional level, I think is also kind of scary too. And I feel like that's like now more than ever, like supporting live music, going to
It's
shows like your
huge.
shows, going to, smaller shows as well, and just supporting that because I feel like it's something
That's
that,
the thing that AI band's never going to do that. You know,
yeah,
they can't get up there on stage, and you can't buy a ticket to those guys.
yeah, you can't
I
shake their
think
hand after the show.
no, no, you can't meet them, and you know, but everything's there's good and bad with everything. You know, like on the one hand, this is going to get worse and worse.
Hmm.
And on the other hand, you know, as far as streaming goes and the digital side of all of this, the AI issue, and especially music. But on the other hand, it's only going to make getting to go see a live performance even more valuable. I don't know what it could do to the prices and the cost of it all because, you know, with more demand always comes increased pricing. And so we'll see what that looks like in the next 5 years.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
something
this
I
is
think
about
about a lot too. Is just the demand of if
it's
you're
already
not,
pretty bad. Like it's
yeah.
already pretty bad, like ticket prices, you know. And it's not necessarily bad, it's just the resales and stuff that make it.
Yeah, it's the bots. If you're not waking up at 9 a.m. in the Ticketmaster queue and you're not lucky
Yeah.
enough to be chosen not by the bots, I mean, you're paying hundreds of dollars and you it's almost like to see anybody at a level of like an arena, a stadium, even an amphitheater, like anything over a few thousand seats,
Mm.
it's roulette if you're even going to be able to afford or get in. And I feel like now more than ever, with a lot of the big tours that are happening, I feel like with Taylor Swift or with Beyonce, Coldplay, and with, things like the Oasis reunion, people
Hmm.
crave to be in a big room singing these songs. And the fact that that's almost like like a privilege to even
Yeah, that's a
get
great
your
point.
foot in the door is just so interesting to me. And that's something I think
Yeah,
about often.
we're already seeing what we're talking about happening. I saw the Oasis thing. A guy he paid like $4,000
Uh-huh.
for his like general admission tickets to the Oasis, the first show back.
Hmm.
It's like people are already willing to just in order to be able to see like, you know, real music in front of them, a live performance. Like people, there are a lot of people already willing to pay thousands for one show. It's and that should tell you everything about how bad we're craving authenticity and something that's real. That's wild, you know. I mean, I couldn't imagine spending that even for my
No.
favorite act. Me
Yeah, I've
personally,
thought
like
about that
I
too.
wouldn't.
I've seen so many articles that are like, even when the Eras tour was at its peak, and seeing
Hmm.
threads of how many people spent. And I was lucky enough to go. I had a friend do the Ticketmaster thing, but I just paid, standard nosebleed prices. And just the
Yeah,
fact that people was thousands and thousands, like, I can't think of one person that I
yeah.
would want to see that I would be. I mean, that's, you could go on, an international vacation or even just a really nice vacation
You could do
locally.
a lot of things with a couple $1,000, you
Yeah,
know.
I mean, it's
It's
just
crazy.
crazy just for an hour and a half of music. But I think, it all goes back to what we're talking about is that people just crave to be connected with art. And we're being taken
Yeah.
away from that with whether it's social media or AI or the music that's being thrown at us at
You know,
TikTok. And
yeah, it's weird for myself as an artist. Like I felt like I worked super hard to get to the point where I could have more than just me and a guitar. Um, like get a band together, make a full band record, like Sadler produced
yes, I
21 High
wanted to
for
get
me.
into that too. Yeah.
And then it's like I did all of that, took in all those responsibilities at a time where it's almost like that's not what everyone wanted to hear.
Hmm.
Like there were people that like genuinely were upset that like I did that, and that like the
Really?
next record, what? Yeah, like I had, yeah, there were some people, like you sold out. It's because they heard a shaker, on the track
People
or
also
whatever.
don't like change.
No, people hate change, but
Yeah.
but I did it at a time like,
Hmm.
bringing in a band and like doing 20 on High, like it was in my head as the artist, I was like, wow, like I'm growing and I'm getting
Yeah.
to a place I always like, dreamed of where it's not just me, it's not just this, and it's like I'm gonna make it bigger than this, and it's like that people still just want the other thing more.
Right. And I've been thinking about
And
this too. Um, I feel like in recent, and I don't know if it already sounds like you can relate to this. I feel like listeners, and I feel like this is egged on by social media. I feel like there is a sense of entitlement that certain people have towards their artists that they listen to, that like we support
hmm
you, so like if you're gonna make a change or you're gonna do something different, people like, yeah, they'll make comments like you sell it, which you didn't sell out. You put your hard-earned effort, money, work, making the connections. It takes so much to do something like bring a
hmm
band together. But I feel like a lot of people have this idea of what their artists that they like are supposed to be or do. And I think that's also really interesting.
yeah, I mean it's I guess I've kind of gone through a lot of the motions now, like with how I feel about it all, and I've just landed on like, and I'm also like, fortunately, I'm just in a lucky position where I can even take this stance. But I'm like, I can't make music to like cater to anybody,
Mm-mm.
So I'm just gonna do whatever it is I want to do, and so that's what I've been doing. After 20 on High, I quickly realized like the fans I've made off of A Heart of Life, like a lot of them love the record and all, but like they still like kind of want, and some of those songs I play live with the band now, and like that was hard for people to hear. Like they were like, we want to hear Pitch and Fits acoustic, and I'm like, well, you can't, so
Go home and listen
you
to
know
it.
yeah, there's an album where
Yeah.
I played it acoustic on that album, and I will still do that. It's just like, um, but I spent a lot of time like in my head about it after 20 on High came out, and spent a lot of time just like wondering like what I was doing wrong, kind of stuff, just like kind of poor pitiful me head space a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, until finally was like, I'm not signed to a label that's telling me I have to do anything. So I'm just gonna,
Exactly. It's all your own
after,
decision. Yeah.
yeah, and which is beautiful. I love it.
Hmm.
Like right now, like this year I put out a live acoustic album from a show I played in Germany last year when I was on tour with 49 Winchester.
Wow.
And right after that, I released like five random singles that are all
Y-
acoustic,
Yes, I wanted to talk about
you
that as
know.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a whole other album finished too that has been finished for over a year now that Sadler produced, and it's
Yes.
not acoustic, it's a follow-up, it's the next full-length record. It's been done for a while. But
Yeah,
then
I'm
I'll have this
excited. Sadler mentioned that to me because I brought up 20 on
yeah.
High when I had spoken to him back in February. So
Well,
I can't.
I doubled down a little bit on it. Like I told Sadler I wanted this one to be like even more produced, and it's I want it to be even further away from acoustic than 20 on High was, and that's what it is.
Oh, I'm
So
excited.
yeah, I can't wait to share it. But there's another project too I'm working on. It's going to be some cover songs and some songs from like the Walk Home EP and A Heart of Life. They're re-recorded them with the band, and then some other songs, and all of them are going to have featured guests on them though, and that'll be like an EP that I'll put out before the record. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
wanted to talk more about 20 on High and that
Okay.
experience because I think listening to those records, I feel like 20 on High is just a natural progression. A Hard Up Life was just you in your room. And I feel like 20 on High, it was the same sentiments and the lyrics and the message, but it was just with the band, it was amplified. And
Hmm.
how was it like for you? Because you've stated too that you're a big fan of the 400 unit, and that's one of your influences. How's it like
Yeah.
for you to work with Sadler? And most of the band was playing the instrumentals. You also had Katie from
Hmm.
Waxahachie guest in as well.
Yeah.
What was it like, kind of putting that group together? Because you reached out to Sadler, just
Hmm.
by email. You just kind of, is that how you got in contact with him? And then
Kind of. Yeah, kind of. I was kind of warned against it just because like I already get harsh comparisons to like Jason's music and stuff, which like I'm fine with
Mhm.
as long as he's cool with it, I'm cool with it, you know. I mean, he's like one of my, he's one of my musical heroes. So like
Mhm. He's the best.
Alabama, yeah, it's like if that's the worst you got, like
Yeah.
if comparing me to Jason Isbell is the worst someone's got, then I'll take it. Like so but I was kind of like there were concerns within like the team about having Sadler produce the record because of that. And I knew it like all along. Like you know, I knew what I was doing. Um,
Mhm.
and I understood like basically that like having Sadler involved and like the 400 unit involved and me already just getting like vocal comparisons and stuff to Jason, it could be a bad idea just for me overall because the whole 400 unit thing could overshadow me and what I'm doing, you know?
Mhm.
And in a lot of ways, it certainly did. But I was like selfishly don't care. Like, I'm super stoked. This is like one of my favorite bands ever. So
Yeah.
like I don't care what people say about, and again, like if they say that, sounds like Jason Isbell in the 400 unit, well, whatever, I
Yeah.
was just excited and honored to have them come in and do it. And Sadler, it was kind of Sadler's call. Like, he was slated to produce the record and he was going to use the band he used on the Morgan Wade record. And it was like a couple weeks, maybe a month or so before the studio, he called me and was like, "Hey, what if would you be okay with me like just asking, some of the guys in the 400 unit to if they would be willing to play on the record?" And I was like, "Dude, of course." But like, you know, as long as like there's a budget, so like if we can keep it there,
Mhm.
then yeah. And he was like, "No, everything could be, I'll talk to them. They're probably will be, down for it." And he called me back and told me that they were good to go. And so, it was awesome. It was absolutely incredible. I love the record. It's and I don't look at my like career and my music. I'm seeing like a whole lifetime of this. I'm not
Mhm.
seeing this year or last year. Like this is like I have a catalog and I intend to
Mhm.
make it bigger and bigger every year. As I release music, and I'll be able to look back, at that record, and it will forever be like a very special part of like my timeline. So, um, but then like for the next record, even more exciting for like whole new reasons. Like I have my
Mhm.
own band now, and they played on the next record, so it's cool to have like to go from this like just a guy and a guitar, stripped back one take acoustic album to having your favorite band be the band on your next album,
Yeah.
and you don't even have I didn't even have a band when I made that record
Wow.
with Sadler, and now I do have one, and now they're on the next record, so
Yeah,
it's
I was gonna ask about
just
that. Yeah, because you do play with a
yeah,
live band, so that's awesome that they got to be on the record.
yeah, yeah. And I wanted them to be, it makes it
Mhm.
it makes it for them even more special and for me too, and it keeps it makes it ours in a way,
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think, going back to 20 on High and how people were a little bit, you got some pushback on that originally. I feel like the 400 unit, they're so versatile as musicians. And,
Hmm.
I think about this often too. They're all like, yeah, they play in that band, they tour in that band predominantly, but they all have a bunch of different side projects
Yeah,
and
yeah.
experience. And variation in their musical experience. Sadler is a great
Hmm.
example. I mean, he's constantly producing, working on different stuff. He was with Driving and Crying and,
Yeah.
Chad as well. All of them, they all dabble in a bunch of
Yeah.
different things. And I think that's what makes them great, for that situation too, as a studio band, because, they're not, Jason isn't the only thing that they're used to playing with. They have a lot of
Yeah, exactly.
experience, especially
Yeah.
with Alabama too. There's a great connection there because a lot of them have those connections in the Alabama music scene. So that's cool. And I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear your stuff with your band and have that experience. So they're not, they have that experience with you touring, but now you made something together. And I think that's really
Yeah.
special.
I'm very excited about it. It's my favorite thing that I've recorded yet. So
Awesome. I know you probably can't say, but any hints of when maybe we could expect it?
honestly, and not because I'm just trying to be secretive, I really don't know yet. I've just I've been having a lot of conversations that um have just like kind of stopped me from being I mean, I could release it tomorrow if I wanted to, but I've been talking to a lot of different like labels and stuff about possibly doing deals,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of those conversations have gotten far along and then fell apart. Um I have some hard lines, that
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna give up on, like my back catalog, like that's mine, I
Mm-hmm.
can't give that away at all. Like I
Yeah.
would be willing, and because I'm 29, so it's like I've been able to make this, independently to now,
Mm-hmm.
and I can still do this if I want, and I do want to, but I'll also have an opportunity where I'm just kind of I'm hearing offers out, and I have two kids,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'm extremely proud of myself to have made it as far as I have independently.
Very impressive. Yeah.
And and I used to be like very prideful about it, I think, about the
Mm-hmm.
idea of maybe signing or releasing an album or music under a label. Like I was totally against it, but these days I'm like, of whatever I had or felt like I had to prove, like I've proven it and to myself. And so now I'm like, that's kind of where I'm at with the new album is I'm just talking to a lot of people and seeing, what all kind of situations I could find myself in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like if I signed a label deal, for one album or two albums or three albums, but you can't have anything I've done in the past, and I already have one finished. So, I'm in a weird spot that I've been here too for like over a year now, so I'm kind of getting a little impatient with it, and I
Mm-hmm.
might, who knows what I'll decide, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna wait too much longer, so
Well, it's very exciting. And a couple things before we wrap up that I briefly wanted to touch on. Your song Blue Collar got featured in Landman, and I love Landman. I actually
yeah.
got to interview Billy Bob Thornton. I
No
stay
way,
in touch
really?
with him. I'm seeing him next
Oh,
month,
that's
but
crazy.
no, he's the best. I could totally. I should ask him if he knows your music because I am going to
Well,
hang out with him at one of
do
those
you,
shows next month.
do you know Avon? Do you know Andrea Forster?
No.
So she's like Taylor Sheridan's music supervisor, and we're good
I was
friends. And
gonna I was going to ask I think I was gonna ask Billy about the music on them. I don't know who does the music because every Taylor
mm,
Sheridan show, the soundtrack is almost as good
yeah.
as the show.
Well, that's our friend Andrea. She is incredible, and she told me like months ago, and she has a lot of things coming her way too, like just constantly and changing for her. So I didn't hold her to it, but she was like, Billy Bob, I think he wrote a song potentially to be used for the show, and they were trying to find someone to actually record the song that he wrote.
Hmm.
And she was basically pitching the idea to me, and then I never heard anything else about it. So I need to I want to go record a Billy Bob song
Oh my
if
gosh.
if
Well,
he
yeah, I want to see if
he wrote
I
it.
can connect you to. Yeah, because he's music is his biggest passion. I mean, I
Yeah,
interviewed him and his band, the Boxmasters, him and JD Andrew,
yeah,
and we talked for about 2 hours just about music. I mean, think at the last 10 minutes, I told him how much I loved Sling Blade and we talked about acting.
Yeah, right.
But he's just such a music nerd and I mean, he's very open to that.
He
So,
he looks exactly like my Uncle Joe, my dad's brother.
no
It's
way.
pretty funny. Yeah, it's
Yeah, he's
real.
been writing music for a long time and he's worked with a
Hmm.
lot of big musicians and he was friends with
Yeah,
John Prine and he worked with Warren Zevon, like recorded some of his last songs at Billy Bob's studio. So he has a rich
yeah,
history in the music world as well. And I feel like a lot of people don't know that. That's like one of his
yeah. A lot of
big
people.
passions.
I don't know all of it, but I knew that it was a big part of his life for sure. That's cool
Hmm.
though. That's awesome that you
Yeah.
got to do that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he's really cool. That was like a crazy scenario, but I wanted to talk about how was it like being on Landman because I'm sure that was pushed a huge jump in the song as well because I feel like any
Oh
song that
yeah,
gets featured in those shows, they immediately get traction. How was that like for you? I know you were friends with the music
it was.
supervisor, but did she reach
Yeah, it was
out to
great.
you?
Yeah, yeah. My wife and I were watching a movie. Um, her little sister, my sister-in-law, was staying with us that weekend, and it was like midnight, and we were all in the living room, and Avon called me, which like we text every now and then, you know. Phone calls are usually more serious than text,
Hmm.
but midnight phone calls are a whole different story. So
Yeah.
it's like I was sitting there and I like got the phone call and it's, it's Andrea. I looked at him and I was like, why is Andrea calling me at midnight? Like, should I answer that? And she was like, yeah, you should answer that. So I answered and she was like, hey, please tell me that you multi-tracked Blue Collar. And I was like, I did not. And Blue Collar was recorded at the foot of my bed in that apartment before work that
Hmm.
morning, live, like one
Hmm.
take, me and a guitar at the same time. I was like, no, I didn't multi-track it. And she was like, okay, well, please tell me you recorded a clean version of the song. I was like, no, I didn't. And basically they wanted to use it, but it has the F word in it. And it's a
Uh-huh.
pretty harsh F word. And Taylor didn't want to use it because the spot they're using it in the show was like the very first second of
Yes, I
episode
remember
nine,
that.
season one.
Hmm.
So it's like literally right out of the gate. As soon as the
Yeah.
episode starts, the song starts, and it plays for like 47 seconds, which is like a very lengthy sync. Like a
Yeah.
lot of times, like songs are in the background or they're quick, but 47 seconds is like it's a long time to use the song, and they're using it basically over like B-roll footage of like aerial camera pans and stuff. So there's no other audio happening. It's just the song playing at the very beginning of the episode. So they didn't want the F word to be there, and which sucks for me because I didn't record a clean version of it, and I didn't multi-track it to where I could go back and just change the vocal,
Hmm.
keep the guitar, but just change the vocal. Couldn't do that, and so I want to take us back to, and I'll probably get burned at the stake for this, but don't care because it's true.
Hmm.
AI, you can use AI to split stems of recordings.
Yes.
So that's what I did. I took Blue Collar because it's just a live acoustic recording, and I put it in. I used this AI software that removed the vocal track and it separated the vocals from the guitar. So
Yeah, I
now I
think that's
have a.
super helpful. Yeah, I've done stuff like
It's
that for my show
insanely
sometimes.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, and that's where AI is incredible, and like I'm all for it
Hmm.
and love it and will embrace it. But and so that's what I did is I used that to separate the vocal track from the guitar track, and then I deleted the F word and re-recorded. I think I changed that word to the word cut instead, and I sent it back to him. And Avon on the phone that night, she was like, "Look, this is like a really solid placement. Like it's the top of the episode. It's lengthy. Like I really want you to be able to like have this opportunity." And she actually recommended. She was like, "Look, all the major labels use it." She was like, "Why can't an independent artist that recorded a live acoustic album, why can't he use it?" And
Yeah.
so, but she told me I had like 3 weeks. She was like, "Don't sweat it. Like we're ahead of ourselves, so you got like 3 weeks to like
Hmm.
figure it out. And well, I had to go on tour on like the next day or like 2 days after this phone
Hmm.
call, and so I'm like on tour, not even thinking about this because I have a couple weeks before I have to think about this. And the tour, I think, was like a week out. So I was like, well, when I get home, I'll sit down in the office and like look at this and see if I can't do it. And so it's like maybe 3 or 4 days. I'm out on the road now. I've been on the road for like 2 days, and Avon calls me and she's like, "Hey, so actually, like, I need this done and turned in to me like before tomorrow night."
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
like, "It's perfect," because like I'm on tour right now in a hotel room, and so stayed up after. I can't remember. I think we were out. You know what? I don't know who we were on the road with. Maybe it was Dwight. Um, but it's like after the gig, we get to the
Another
room.
friend of Billy Bob's. Yeah, another
I
connection.
know, yeah, I had my own little sling blade conversation with Dwight.
That's awesome.
I
Yeah, the
waited, I
Doyle
waited it.
Hargraves band.
Yeah, yeah. I waited until the end though, like you did.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I'm just like in a hotel room at like 2 o'clock in the morning, just like screaming the word "cut" over and over, and into this mic because it was really hard to like replicate the way the room sounded 5 years ago in that old, apartment we used to live in. I had
Hmm.
to like try and get it to not sound like I used AI stem splitters and like completely botched a word out, and it was tough. But I did it, and I turned it in to Avon promptly, and Taylor heard it, and she called me back, and she was like, "Hey, it worked. We're gonna use it." So I was like, "Oh yeah, perfect." And then they used it, and this that was this year, I think,
Yeah, it was like really
right?
early
Yeah.
this year. Yeah, it was like
Yeah, it
in
was like
January.
January. Yeah. So, it's 2025. That song's 4 years old
Yeah.
at this point, so like it's already kind of lived a life. Um, it's not new, but it being in Landman definitely introduced it to a whole lot of people that had never heard it. And kind of the biggest win, other than just like getting one of your songs used in like a very popular movie or TV show, like you get paid, there's
Hmm.
so that's nice. I mean, I made some money, like my song is it's all positives. There's nothing
Hmm.
negative at all. But like the weirdest thing I guess I didn't realize because I just never think about this is like kind of the biggest digital bump you'll see is not Spotify or streaming, it's like Shazam, which
Yeah.
because I don't even use Shazam. I never think
I
about
do sometimes.
Shazam.
If I'm watching TV and there's a song that I haven't heard, I
Well,
do
so do a
Shazam.
whole lot of other people, apparently. Uh, Blue Collar ended up being like in the week that that episode aired, it became like it was the number one most Shazammed country song in the United States. It
Wow.
was it was the number two most Shazammed country song in the world, and then I think it was like the number four or number five most Shazammed song, all genres, on the Shazam charts for
That is
like the next.
crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. And it's just this little recording that could. It's this little
Lived
song
a
I wrote.
whole life of its own, and still,
Yeah.
all these years
I
later, it's
recorded this
going
thing at the
strong.
foot of a bed before work one morning, and now it's like topping Shazam charts like global. Like that's
That is,
crazy.
that's such a cool story. And then,
Um, yeah.
wow. And then kind of tying everything up, you got the opportunity. You're playing Taylor Sheridan's Ranch for a
Oh
concert in
yeah.
September. I want to hear a little bit
Yeah.
about that before we wrap things up because
I'll
that is
be
so fascinating to me.
oh no, I'm excited. I'll be so honest. I don't know a lot about it. I just know it's a new thing that they're doing at Taylor's Ranch,
Hmm.
and I think this show's the first one,
Yeah,
maybe.
I believe it is. Yeah, it is going to be the
Um,
first one.
so so I've never been. I don't know what it's going to be like. When it was kind of coming out and was when I was offered the show, it seemed like it was under it was going to be like a private thing,
Hmm.
which wasn't going to be public, and it was kind of like because it's a small. At least this year, they're doing the cap's pretty small. I think it's like
Yeah.
500 people,
Hmm.
and it was originally going to be like a private thing that was kind of like the tickets were offered like to insiders first, you know. It was just going
Hmm.
to be like tickets up for sale for like industry kind of thing. And but I think they held a couple hundred tickets back. And now I think the situation now is like kind of inner circle industry folks had like X amount of tickets first dibs, and then they released the others to the public. I don't know. I've never been to the ranch, never met Taylor. Uh, Andrea called me and kind of that came, you know, from her, and so I'm thankful for it for sure. Like Taylor Sheridan's universe is it's a vast one. Like he has a lot of stuff going on, a lot of
Hmm.
shows, and I mean Yellowstone was monumental.
Yeah.
Landman, and I watched Yellowstone. I was a fan.
Hmm.
Landman is, in my opinion, better.
Oh
I
yeah, me
love
too. I
Landman.
love Landman. I mean, I'm a little biased because I love Billy Bob, but I love
Yeah,
Landman.
yeah, true. Yeah, that's my Uncle Joe. So, um, but no, so I don't know. I can't really tell you too much about it because I really don't know too much about it.
That's just such a cool
I'm excited for it.
opportunity. And I think
Oh,
what's
I'm stoked. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what's so cool about what his music or what his shows do is like music is so important. It's a fixture
Mm-hmm.
in all of his shows. And he doesn't
Yeah.
just play snippets. He uses these big
Mm-mm.
montages or like in Yellowstone, he was really big on having a bunch of bands just come on and play. And I think that is so
He's
cool to do. And
he's
I
definitely intentionally, you know, trying to help out with the younger bands and huge job of that. I can tell you that through Andrea and just my experience with like with that whole camp,
Mhm.
they put a tremendous amount of thought and effort into the music behind all of Taylor Sheridan's shows.
Mhm.
Um, it's not at random at all. It's
Mhm.
entirely intentional and it's extremely sifted and culled through. Like it's not an accident. Like it's very intentional. And yeah, so I feel very, you know, fortunate and grateful to them for like even being a part of it, you know, in any way. So
Wow. That's awesome. And I just want to thank you for taking, over an hour out of your vacation time to come and
oh
talk with
yeah.
me. This was so much fun. I had a great time.
Yeah,
Is there
thank you.
anything? Oh, thank you. Is there anything else that you want to touch up upon before we close out the interview?
I don't know. I don't
Anything we
really have
forgot to
anything
mention?
specific right now. Let's see. Yeah, I mean I have a lot of stuff I'm working on
You have
as
a
far
few
as
tour
like the
dates
mute.
left this year.
I've got some shows and where all am I? The Unbroken Circle music festival, and I think it's in Madison, Indiana. Iron
Nice.
Hills, which is going to be
Hmm.
sweet. That is in Birmingham, Alabama at Sloss Furnace.
Yes.
It's the first year they've done it, and I'm buddies with the folks that put that festival on. They have the Furnace Fest, like the big metal festival at Sloss Furnace in
Yeah.
Birmingham every year.
It's
So
a great
this
lineup
year
to
is
this
their
festival. I wish I could go, but
it's so
I have
cool.
other plans that weekend.
Oh
But
man, yeah, I'm excited for it. Yeah, I can't remember all the dates on my schedule at the moment,
yeah, but
but yeah,
I'll
you can
post
go
them in the
find them.
link below. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, awesome. Yeah, I mean, for anyone that's never listened to the music, I guess you can go
Please,
find the
yeah,
music everywhere.
go check out his music. It's on all streaming services.
Yeah,
And, the YouTube videos as well, I think are really worth watching. And awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you have a good rest
awesome.
of your vacation. And this was
Yeah,
really
thank you
fun
so
getting to talk to
much.
you a little bit more.
Thank you for having me on.
Of course.
Awesome. Well, I'll see you around.